difficult time. 21st and 22nd. Fernando Alonso back ahead. It's an updated CAD.
By shoulder blades. Copy.
Stand still. The bounce back for Ferrari has been very, very impressive. All the teams have been chipping away with their upgrades, and well, it was a genuine three-car fight in terms of three different cars that could have been on that pole, never mind the drivers. So yeah, we are set for a bit of a chess match, I think, initially, thinking what we saw in Barcelona and who blinks first on the tyres. And thereafter, yeah, it's Scorchio out there, isn't it? Well, I'm seeing on my screen here 48 degrees. One of the Pirelli engineers, when I was down on the grid, showed me his thermometer at 51.
Hottest day of the weekend so far. I think I opened up race day on Sunday last time out in Spain by saying it had the feels of a great race, and it was. It has the feels of a great race again today. So let's hope that F1 2026 can live up to expectation once again. Russell and Leclerc on the front row, both needing a bit of redemption at the moment. You've got Antonelli in fourth, who's probably looked like he's been the quickest throughout the weekend in terms of consistently quick. Russell did the job yesterday when it counted. And let's not discount Lewis Hamilton in third. The two Ferraris, can they work as a pack to put pressure on Mercedes? This is going to be a race that will play out over the full distance, I think.
If you look at the starting tyres for the top 11, they're all on the yellow walled medium, the middle compound of the weekend. Paul Cletto's gone for the grippier tyre. You can see him just leaving the line now. That will give him a better launch, but that tyre will degrade on him. Everyone's taking their time to get off the line. Don't pay too much attention to the yellow flags being waved, and that's all right. The one car jumped the Alpine there. As long as you're in the right order by the time that you get to the final safety car line, you can start in the position that you were meant to. High stakes today because Antonelli has a sizable advantage for this stage of the championship. But as we've seen, when you've got two teams in the mix, the point swing can be that bit greater. So that points advantage that currently stands at 41, that could change. Hamilton's trying to win back-to-back Grand Prix, the first time since 2021. And you have Antonelli on the evidence of the weekend, probably the fastest driver over all the practice laps, in fourth with some serious contenders ahead. Every single driver ahead of him on the grid has won this Grand Prix before.
Alex, just to say, while you were taking us through that, I was firmly looking outside of our commentary box, and each of the Red Bull Powertrain's cars had a sort of initial launch. Then it looked like it almost went to anti-stall, and then they pulled away from there. Now, I wouldn't say that's a normal procedure. You normally want your green flag lap to be this is what you've got when you get into the actual race start. So, Julian, that would be a little bit worrying if that is what we're going to see them doing off the line.
Certainly alarming. The high temps, slightly different scenario, maybe putting engine temperatures into different windows. And we've seen last time out, Hadjar not getting away at all they know it's a weakness of them. And if that's the last thing you've done sitting on the grid before you're about to take the race start now, it does not put you in a great headspace to think attack, which is exactly what Max Verstappen has to do from 5th on the grid. Big day for George Russell, pole position as he was last time out. Last time out, beaten by Hamilton, but also overtaken by his teammate. Today, I feel he has to deliver a much more accomplished race.
The Aston Martins will occupy the final row on the grid, 71 laps ahead of us at a Grand Prix that is going to mean a lot to the championship battle. Can George Russell recover some momentum after seeing the chances slip? He hasn't won a Grand Prix since the opening round of the year in Melbourne. Watch out for those Red Bulls, Navy Red Bulls, in the middle of the pack as well, because Hajar was saying that he had that issue all the way through Spain, and he knew it was coming for the start lights in Barcelona. They are the drivers going further back in the pack next to the McLarens. Look out for that one. What a battle we have ahead of us. Green flag at the back. Now we will look to the lights in Spielberg. Here they come. The Austrian Grand Prix is underway. It's a decent launch off the line for Charles Leclerc, but George Russell jumps across, maintains the lead, but that won't be an ideal exit out of turn number 1. Could he be vulnerable to the Scarlet Ferrari? Antonelli, who's off the road at turn 1, but rejoins. In 4th place, it's George Russell who leads. Then it's Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, and Max Verstappen did get off the line, but he's under major pressure to the inside from Lando Norris. That was close for Charles Leclerc, who's lost out. Lewis Hamilton finds himself getting close, and again into the braking zone. Kimi Antonelli goes off. Charles Leclerc in 2nd, but it's Hamilton bringing the fight behind. It's close between the McLarens, but look at the Ferraris. So close. Hamilton trying to go around the outside and making the move stick. Our most recent winner back in form and up to 2nd place in the Grand Prix. George Russell leads. Hamilton improves to 2nd.
Yeah, Leclerc there trying to do the cutback in these high-speed corners, and that was instinctive brilliance from Lewis Hamilton watching the battle ahead. And well, we should have feared not for the RB powertrains, all of them getting away well off the line, and Kimi Antonelli feeling the need to use all of that runoff on this opening lap.
George Russell leads. Lewis Hamilton up to 2nd place. Charles Leclerc down to 3rd. Then it's Antonelli, Verstappen, and Piastri got past Norris.
Yeah, Antonelli bobbed it off both in turn 1 and turn 3, but he's going to come up the inside of Leclerc.
Instant move on Charles Leclerc. He's off again. Off again, DC. He rejoins. He cannot stop that Mercedes right now.
Yeah, and that's over those sort of sleeping policeman yellow curbs. He's got to be careful he doesn't take some floor damage, and also to be questioned as to whether he gained an advantage.
Well, he let Leclerc back through, but that's allowing Verstappen to get in the mix as well as they head down towards 4th.
Antonelli trying to make progress. He's been so quick so far this weekend, but he cannot get the feel on the brakes. And now Charles Leclerc having to go late on the brakes to defend from Max Verstappen could open the door for Antonelli and the 2 McLarens. Verstappen stands on the power, looks for all the deployment to get by, and he gets it. That is so close. And look, Antonelli's nearly being swallowed by the McLarens behind. Piastri going one side, Norris was going the other. It's now Russell, Hamilton, Verstappen, Leclerc down to 4th, Antonelli in 5th, and the McLarens, who look good at long run pace on Friday, trying to get past the championship leader, who has not had the opening stages of the Grand Prix he needed.
Yeah, well, all of this says they're not doing tyre preservation. They want race position, and this is played perfectly into the hands of Hamilton.
So Hamilton goes hunting George Russell. Verstappen in 3rd place, as you say, DC, is the perfect buffer now to stop Antonelli coming through, who's lost out to Max and to Charles Leclerc, having made an over-exuberant pass on the last lap. Norris actually had a good start from 6th on the grid, was looking to clear Verstappen a couple of times on the first lap, but in failing to do that, he's fallen behind his teammate, and then they were side by side, almost in a 3-wide Antonelli sandwich heading in towards turn 6 last time. Norris is looking close again down the hill, but he's a little too far back as they hit the brakes. All action, all frantic, but clean between the front guys.
Valtteri Bottas reporting these brakes are on fire. His Grand Prix looks to go no further than lap number 3. And it's not been an easy weekend for Formula One's newest team. And he finds himself mired in the pits. So Hamilton gaining a place, Verstappen gaining 2. Well positioned the car there. Leclerc having the chance off the line to go for the lead, didn't work out for him. Antonelli off the road a couple of times. He's been noted for leaving the track and gaining an advantage.
Shows once again this year, if you attack a lot without reward,
On fire, bro, on fire, my car.
Oh no, because Lawson's been on fire this weekend in terms of his driving. He's ahead of Hadjar. Can't see anything out the back of the Racing Bulls car, but the man that's been solidly in the points this year is running well again up in 8th. But that's a pretty alarmed sound. Can't see anything that's arises there.
Reported it from the front axle, DC. There's Hadjar getting by.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe it's a question he can smell burning rather than we can actually physically see it, but it's not stopping him doing the up and under. So whatever it is clearly not slowing the pace in that RB.
Maybe it is the man in the cockpit that's on fire.
Late on the brakes for Isaac Hadjar. Pass and repass between these former teammates. Hadjar got the promotion up to the senior team, and he's got the position for the moment. Lawson, a point scorer at this Grand Prix. This was the start of the turnaround for the New Zealander, and he's had a very solid campaign so far. Only missed the points on 2 occasions so far this year. This is race 8 of the season.
A reminder how hot it is out there as well. So we've got Bottas already retired. Cadillac have had brake temperature issues already this season, particularly in Monaco, where cooling was difficult. We're at altitude here. You're getting thin air. You're getting hot thin air to try and cool the brakes. And if you're running, which pretty much everyone is now in traffic, you're not even getting much of that air. So Lawson's still not happy with things. It must be the front brakes that he's talking about. And now Arvid Lindblad is going to have a pop at him. And if you're not confident on the brakes, it's not a great circuit for it.
Yeah, that's a backbone of a lap round here. You've got to have the confidence, which is why Leclerc's time in qualifying, given that he has had brake issues, was
Sergio Perez reporting that now, that he's got smoke in the cockpit. You're on board Kimi Antonelli trying to recover places. He has been cleared for leaving the track and gaining an advantage because he gave back the place.
It's a fundamental flaw on the Cadillac car. New team for this year, finding new circumstances, new ambient temperatures at a Spielberg, the Austrian hills, and a bit of elevation, and a bit of combating that as well. It's a long race, guys. Reliability today could be a factor. That's a couple of the Cadillacs out. It's Lawson in trouble, but there's plenty more that have got to survive this heat. And the driver's working hard as well.
top 3 guys, all nip and tuck in lap time. Russell just marginally quicker, but Hamilton, Verstappen, all circulating. I'd say now they've settled down. They're just trying to feel those tyres and then start placing judgment as to when they want to make the first stop.
Just continuing on Lawson's issues, he's still got his teammate directly behind him. We're focusing on our championship leader, Kimi Antonelli, in the silver Mercedes, over the back of Charles Leclerc. Will be frustrated with how those opening laps played out. Slightly wider line for the Monaco driver as he made his way through turn 4.
And he was maybe another driver that just had no feel on the brakes early on, because we said it, he was straight off at turn 1 and turn 3 on the first lap, fighting hard but not stopping the car. And it was exactly the same when he came through on lap 2 to try and dive up the inside of Leclerc and couldn't stop the car. So brake issues early on for Antonelli, and with that, going aggressive to try and make up for qualifying yesterday, he's ended up losing that place to Max Verstappen. Leclerc's got himself back onto to an even keel, but he's lost a couple of seconds to Max as well. You see a bit of a buffer there between 3rd and 4th, and now Charles starting to steady himself. And if Kimi Antonelli wants to win the race today, he's got to start moving forward and do it quickly.
He's got a 6-second deficit. You're looking at Gabriel Bortoleto, left-hand side of your picture. He's trying to pass Esteban Ocon. Ocon gained 4 places off the line, and we saw Bortoleto and Gasly having a look for potentially forcing the driver off the track. In the battle for 4th position, Antonelli is forcing a defensive move from Charles Leclerc. Can he use the energy deployment to try and duck past him for turn 6? Not this time, maybe. He will have the momentum though, but not a way through. Time slipping away for Antonelli in his quest to win this Grand Prix. If he gets clear air early, he can still do that.
Yeah, all this battling though, you see him kick him oversteer there in the dirty air as he exits one of the faster corners. Look at the difference in offset and speed.
Whoa, turn 9, an overtake into turn 9. You don't often see that. The Mercedes deploying the power well, and Antonelli gets by up to 4th place.
Yeah, that was just massive offset in the amount of power going through the rear axle. So as Leclerc, he just shot all his his energy early, or does he have an issue? Meanwhile, Verstappen took more than half a second out of Hamilton the last lap around, and then another 4/10 on this lap, so he's within 0.8.
Red Bull weren't all that confident about the race pace, but right now Max is doing a good job. Charles Leclerc was doing a great job for his teammate, getting his elbows out and bringing Antonelli back away from this top three. But now Antonelli is free. We'll see how quickly he can go and catch Verstappen and Hamilton. Hamilton losing out half a second, as you say, DC, not only to Verstappen, but also to Russell out front. And he's losing the rear tyres. That's the problem.
Yeah, Hamilton not happy there. Reassuringly, as we just hopefully we'll get another opportunity to see Max Verstappen early into four, using that inside curve that rises up to help basically settle.
An escape with the race lead now. Antonelli in fourth, catching third here, who is stuck in behind Lewis Hamilton. So that's, I don't know, message to Leclerc or from Leclerc, but tyre degradation as expected. It's pretty bad, particularly on the Ferrari right now. Another half a second, Hamilton lost out to Russell. Do they have to blink and go for a three-stopper, which is how they won the race last time out in Spain? Do Ferrari have to go for that and just take that chance? Could yield a great result. It could throw away track position. That's the tough one.
Yeah, right now it's about where you drop into traffic that you're genuinely racing. So if you can find a sensible window where you can put new tyres or fresh tyres on and then have a few laps of higher performance to make sure you're gaining that track position relative to those staying out, is the question the strategists will be asking.
George Russell has a 3-second lead on lap 10 of 71. Max Verstappen within the 1 second window, getting overtake mode, closing in on Lewis Hamilton. We haven't seen an attacking attempt yet from these two old battlers. So many incredible wheel-to-wheel moments through the years, and they are in a genuine contest right now.
This will be working out not only well for Russell, but working well for Antonelli as well, as Verstappen's.
So Verstappen could trigger this early. He is very close to Lewis. Every extra second we can get.
Yeah, that suggests to me that if Hamilton blinks, then they'll need to react the following lap. So they're pushing him on to try and make sure he's got.
So Verstappen could trigger this early. He is very close to Lewis. Every extra second we can get.
Sliding out of turn one after not getting the traction. It's very, very difficult to defend with Verstappen getting ever closer.
So Hamilton and Verstappen side by side again. Turn 3, a move that delights the crowd. Verstappen struggling with the brakes, Hamilton struggling with the tyres. But no matter for Verstappen, the 5-time winner around here, momentarily up to second place, but Hamilton roars by. And there's the lock-up to show how much Verstappen is struggling. The 7-time world champion and the 4-time world champion separated by millimeters, nearly on the grass, trying to go the long way round at turn number 6. Is there enough grip out there for Verstappen? And they're still continuing on. He brushes the gravel and he still won't yield. This is magical as Hamilton stays ahead.
Yeah, look, it was brilliant to see them in 6, 7. Well, that was always going to end in a closing exit line, but ask Max to back off. No chance.
If anyone tried to do the Max Verstappen move there on Max, he'd be fully in the gravel there. So he knows how to ruthlessly defend the inside line. Hamilton doing only what Max would have done there if the roles were reversed.
And George Russell's lead, just like that, is up to 5.2 seconds.
Oh, that's 10. 10.
Verstappen not happy with his treatment on the radio. Did we expect to hear anything else? Hard racing between the pair of them. We'll get you the replays in a moment. Is there an opportunity as we go past 185 miles per hour? Not this time around for Verstappen.
Again, that was the onboard showing Verstappen getting that
Oh, that's that.
inside axle.
See Max losing the rears as well now, fighting so hard with Lewis. That's going to allow Kimi Antonelli to get onto terms with both of them.
It's all right, great start for Piastri, but he got chopped across. There's Antonelli in the silver Mercedes going off the road. Is that Lewis Hamilton coming into the pits? It is. So Hamilton pits as we look at the replay of the start. Key moment in the race that could trigger pit stops.
Yeah, he has to cover this off then. He's covering an undercut threat from Verstappen.
And that was a wide moment for Antonelli again at the second braking zone of the racetrack. Charles Leclerc got side by side with George Russell, but wasn't able to get by. The Ferrari team go to work. That looks a quick stop and hard tyres for Lewis Hamilton, trying to win back-to-back Grand Prix. We go on board with Charles Leclerc from the race start.
Yeah, everyone made pretty good starts. What do you see further down the grid as we see Leclerc trying to get as good a line off the first corner as possible as Hamilton rejoins. And one of the best starters actually was further down for the Haas of Ocon, who's got himself up to 12.
And here's the man that's going to be behind Lewis Hamilton. There he is in the distance now, holding back a queue of cars.
Outlap critical. Let's push.
Right, to stay ahead of Verstappen. That's the threat here. He's way too far back after all that dicing to put pressure on Russell here. Mercedes can cover off Hamilton if they so wish. They don't need to do it immediately. Oh, that is Hamilton.
Outlap critical. Let's push.
Didn't quite have the grip that he needed at turn 4.
And the mechanics of Ferrari out for Leclerc as well. Red Bull looking very much that they're just going to stay where they are for now.
It is going to be so close if Verstappen chooses to respond. Hamilton, I think, has done enough on this outlap. Here comes the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc.
So he's having to cover off the McLarens here. Piastri was very close to the back of Leclerc. Didn't look the slickest from Ferrari. 2.7 is not too shabby.
Lewis Hamilton going by. That's Gabriel Bortoleto being cleared and his teammate being cleared. And the gap is very, very tight between Verstappen and Hamilton for pit loss.
My expectations for a fast pit stop have gone through the roof this year.
So Hamilton clearing the Audi was very important. That's why he went for it absolutely immediately at turn number 1. Hamilton told effectively that it was hammer time. We're on board with Charles Leclerc, rotating through turn 3. Gasly did a 2.7 second stop. He's fighting for points today.
So Hamilton's pitted, Leclerc has pitted. 9th and 11th now on the fresher tyres, a little bit as they did in Barcelona. What does Verstappen now do in clear air? He was quick earlier on. He's now just taken a couple of tenths out of Russell. He's got Antonelli there still with him, but Antonelli not yet able to get within a second. And Verstappen, you can see it's going to be pretty close if they pit now. So that's why Hamilton has to dig in and find some pace on the hard tyres that have fired up pretty quickly. But Verstappen's actually slightly quicker than Russell, and the lead is coming down.
Yeah, Hamilton's got clear air ahead up until Lindblad, so he'll probably catch on to him towards the end of this lap. In the meantime, he'll enjoy a distant slipstream.
Max right now is in a decent position compared to Lewis. I think with the way that the Ferrari was chewing through its tyres, I think Red Bull will fancy that they could beat it, even if he emulates the Ferrari lockup down at turn 4. But it's can he get closer to Russell? You see Russell in the top there through turn 6. Verstappen enters turn 6. He is now starting to close on the race leader. Couple of tenths a lap. Is that now the chance for Red Bull to get into victory contention?
You can see that race control have noted the moment between Hamilton and Verstappen. Only noted for the moment, as we see the gap between Max Verstappen and a driver trying to join the champion club this year. 19-year-old Kimi Antonelli, that has come down to 1.6 seconds. It's still in the balance for all major places on the podium at the Austrian Grand Prix.
Continues to be nip and tuck. 12.7 for Russell, 12.7 for Verstappen. Antonelli just a couple of tenths slower on that lap.
So this is the moment earlier on where Verstappen passed Antonelli and Leclerc. Leclerc deep into 4, trying so hard to defend what was 3rd place at the time for him. And Verstappen just gets better drive on the way out, and the Ferrari's not straight on speed, the way he was past there, and then even more gazumped by Antonelli into 9.
And further behind, you had Antonelli checking the left mirror and the right mirror, and in each of them, you saw a McLaren if you were the championship leader. There's Lewis Hamilton, easy slam dunk move on Arvid Lindblad.
Yeah, last lap for Hamilton in clean air, 12.7, so he's only matching the race leaders.
Not finding enough pace right now. Hamilton or Leclerc, they're 4,000 separating the two Ferraris on that last lap. But given they're on fresh tyres here on a day where the degradation is significant, it's not a huge amount that he's able to find. Obviously, he's coming through past a couple of cars as well. But Verstappen going longer will have fresher tyres when he makes the stop. And if he was putting pressure on Hamilton earlier on, it'll be even more pressure, even if he can't jump him at the stops.
I think it's all started overheated. The one stop make it possible. Hey.
This is on board with Kimi Antonelli as George Russell on the radio claiming a one stop.
The lead is 5 seconds now on the dot. It's still just nudging down another 10th and a half to Verstappen, and that's why Antonelli buys a can. Is just seeing the Red Bull start to pull away from the man that's the championship leader and was catching quickly when Hamilton was backing Verstappen up. Now Verstappen is free, even though he was fighting for a couple of laps, sliding around, locking up. He's got good pace in the Red Bull.
I think it's all started overheated. The one stop make it possible. Hey.
The guys next door to you, they're all lined up beside each other in the pit lane. Hamilton now just starting to pull a few tenths advantage out of those fresher tyres, but it's going to mean, of course, as you said there, Jolene, when Verstappen does make his stop, he's going to be in a much racier position.
Yeah, it's big picture stuff for Red Bull. I don't think they're fighting Hamilton right now. I mean, if they stop, they'd come out just behind Lewis, but again, it's another couple of tenths Verstappen's quicker than Russell, and I think they need to almost forget Hamilton at this stage and just think, hang on, the race leader's there 4.9 seconds ahead.
It's okay. Better now. You are faster than Charles.
Hamilton being told he's faster than his teammate. He was side by side with Max Verstappen. Hamilton would come out ahead, but look, the gap is only...
It's okay. Better now. You are faster than Charles.
Clearly seen that issue clear up. Being past Hamilton on the fresher rubber, reclaiming the place. Next up for him is Isaac Hadjar, left-hand side of your picture. Gabriel Bortoleto, Brazilian driver, has made his stop and got rid of the soft tyres.
It's a nice pass without losing too much time, but he's having to use these tyres to make up the difference, whilst Verstappen is on a similar lap time with the old medium, and that is the difficulty there. Verstappen pits now then, so doesn't want to keep running to get closer to Russell. He's going to make the jump. Surely he's going to come out just behind Hamilton, unless this is magnificent.
It should be about 1 second behind, but he needs a clean stop for that to be the case. Hamilton has been clearing through the traffic. And in comes Max Verstappen. Red Bull go to work. Clean stop is 2.4. Hamilton coming around the 10th and final corner of the racetrack now. 2.6 miles in length. And Verstappen on the left-hand side. Let's see the Ferrari move by, and he does move by, but he has the slightly fresher rubber as Hamilton gets by, and it will be battle rejoined, you imagine, in a couple of laps' time.
Yeah, it's race on, isn't it? And interestingly, Hadjar came in as well on that lap, so not quite a safety car double stop in terms of stacking, but 2.4 for Verstappen, 2.8 for Hadjar. So slick work from the team.
Verstappen speedwaying his way into turn 3, turning it into the right-hander and immediately catching a load of oversteer as those rear tyres still get towards plumb temperature.
Yeah, sorry, Jolene, I've got my eye out the commentary box. Mercedes now getting ready. This will be for Russell.
I think Red Bull have maybe let them off a little bit easy here with a chance to cover off Verstappen, who was looking quick.
So George Russell comes in, looking for his second Grand Prix victory of the season. The McLaren of Oscar Piastri will be in as well. Looked a tidy stop. 2.3 is a tidy stop for our race leader. He was our race leader. His teammate and championship leader has just gone through, Kimi Antonelli. See if he's got any extra pace to unleash after he has had a long stint on the mediums. In comes Oscar Piastri. He's now on to the hard tyres. Liam Lawson is in as well. There's Russell covering off Hamilton, and Russell covering off Verstappen. And what's that gap? It's not massive for Russell and Hamilton.
No, needed to cover off Hamilton there, but also needed to cover off Verstappen. They were waiting for Max to pit, and then by the time the next lap comes around, you've snookered Hamilton, you've snookered Verstappen, and now you're on the fresher tyres.
I know we're going to stay out. You'll get clean air. We're going to extend.
I got time on pace, so this is it.
So back of a really slow lap on the last time around, Norris. I don't know if he had traffic or something. He was 2 seconds away from Antonelli. And Antonelli, surely now, if I was Antonelli, I'd want to...
I know we're going to stay out. You'll get clean air. We're going to extend.
I got time on pace, so this is it.
Pit stop sequence. And Russell will try and bring those hard tyres in.
The only other thing here is Russell struggled a lot on the hard tyres in Barcelona. It's a different hard tyre. That was the harder end of the range. This is the softer end of the range. But he looked like he had the first stint sewn up, didn't he, in Spain? It looked like it was not quite as comfortable as this one, but it was okay. So is it going to be a similar story for George as he goes through the race? And they're all going to have to pass Lando Norris unless he dives into the pits on the next lap.
Verstappen's had a good couple of laps. He is closing up to the back of Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton going early to the new rubber has closed down the gap on George Russell. They've marked that off. Just watch that gap of 1.7 seconds. Could be a fascinating middle stint of the Grand Prix to come your way. Antonelli's trying to wring the last of the grip from those medium tyres. And he'll try and make it a four-car battle for the win here in Austria. 8th Grand Prix of the year. British Grand Prix next week at Silverstone. And Russell's trying to go back there as a winner. Hasn't known that feeling since March. Here comes Lando Norris, and George Russell would have had to take, well, not evasive action, but he would have been distracted by that. That's the nature of the pit entry here, as Lando Norris comes into the pits and George Russell moves over.
Yeah, look at the time loss that Russell would have seen there. And, well, half a second to Verstappen, who's now very much in the hunt with Hamilton. It's just one of the quirks of this track, as you say, Alex, that you have to be inside the white line before turn 9. And that inevitably would have meant that a corner that...
Late lunge! And a chance, and it's taken for Max Verstappen. So it was a defensive shape thrown by Hamilton, but Hamilton was unable to prevent Verstappen from going by. He gets back once again. There he is, into our picture, still ahead. But Verstappen, in a couple of laps, DC, able to close down the gap and send one of those dive bomb moves at turn number 3.
Yeah, it's sort of rinse and repeat from earlier. Verstappen goes again.
And he jumps across Hamilton and he gets by this time. Into turn 6, Max Verstappen up to 3rd place. Memories of the battle that we saw earlier in the Grand Prix. And Max Verstappen has 3.1 seconds to close up. He is in the fight for victory for the first time this year.
It's brilliant racing as well from him. I love the aggression that he's throwing inside or outside. He knows that he needs to clear this Ferrari. Hamilton, as he did earlier on, using a little bit more energy deployment down to 4. But Max just catching him unawares. It's not an easy place to throw a lunge late on the brakes at 6. But he sent it in, ran offline. That doesn't matter. The move was done on the entry. It's a great pass. And he's 3.2 seconds away from George Russell. So it's on still for Verstappen to keep Mercedes in check.
It is. And what we're seeing this year with the opportunity to deploy in different areas is much more strategic racing. And as you said, Jolene, that's not a corner as we go on board with a locking Lando Norris, feels the need to use the escape road. But yeah, that is not normally a place you would expect to see an overtake. It's not a big braking corner. But at this point in the Grand Prix, with a bit of extra deployment, it was send and sort it out later.
There was a little bit of, he forced me off the road last time. It had been noted. I don't think there's any further investigation on Hamilton versus Verstappen part 1. Part 2 was all on Verstappen, just saying, all right, mate, I'm going to send it then and see what you'll think about this.
Wonderful to see them in a genuine battle for the major positions once again in Formula One. Verstappen ahead for the moment by 1.6 seconds. To reference Jolene's point from a second ago, it was noted, but it wasn't investigated. No further action taken on that moment earlier in the race when the two champions went side by side. You've got Pierre Gasly trying to clear Oliver Behrman in left-hand side of your picture. Kimi Antonelli has an advantage of 7.8 seconds over George Russell. And the question will be on this compound of tyre, as Gasly gets by into turn 9. On this compound of tyre, what can Verstappen do up against George Russell? It is a compound that between the Mercedes pair, Antonelli is far more comfortable on in the evidence of not just this year, but last year as well. He very much enjoys that C3 compound. To a halt, immediately in comes Kimi Antonelli. Will he get a virtual safety car?
But why is he pitted now? Surely there'll be a virtual safety car for that.
Yeah, Sainz getting out of the cockpit. It's right in front of our commentary box. So this virtual or full, because they'll have to open the barrier in the pit lane to push that car through.
They will indeed, DC. The virtual safety car is now deployed, and Antonelli pitted under green.
Communication between...
And deck on another seems lower. We are thinking also about plan B.
It doesn't feel that way to me, mate. Get this car off the circuit, he's not benefited from it.
It's gone into lawnmower mode for Carlos Sainz, who's parking it up, and he is our third retirement of the Grand Prix, along with Perez and Bottas. And it's a short lap here as well. It's not like it's Spa or Silverstone.
Yeah, marshals are out, and lo and behold, either because he knows his stuff or by some magic, the actual gate in the pit lane is right where he stopped. So they're able to maneuver that car right now. It's going to be a three-pointer to get it through, which is going to be challenging. Yeah, look, the oil on the track below the car, that is a major engine issue on that car. The lights were now on the dash, and it did sound like a lawnmower, as you said, Alex. It's more worrying news for Mercedes.
Indeed, another reliability issue for Mercedes Power. This is Lewis Hamilton. Yellow LED boards flashing.
Box.
Ah, he'd gone by.
Tell me too late.
Good ride.
And we're saying, I'm hearing that Kimi Antonelli was already committed to the pit lane.
It's a long pit lane entry. You hug the inside through turn 9. Hamilton could still gain from this VSC pit stop here. So you gain pretty much half the pit stop time. It's 9.5.
Box.
Tell me too late.
Good ride.
Aaron set themselves up for what could be a 3-stopper again now.
Yeah, just watching the marshals out the combox window here, having a bit of difficulty getting that car through. Looks like they're just clearing the circuit now. So within the next 10 or so seconds, expect this race to go green again.
See Leclerc not far ahead of Hamilton. So that cheap pit stop, but a switch to the soft tyre for Hamilton. So it's certainly going to be another pit stop in there for him.
Pit entry is closed now because the car has been moved to the fast lane of the pit lane. Marshall's doing a wonderful job as ever. Virtual safety car can be withdrawn any time they choose, and they're choosing now.
So if Antonelli hadn't have been committed, it must have been really, really close to the last second or two.
Bono, what is happening with this brake? I have no confidence.
Got a brake split, mate, so one's hotter than the other.
So remember, I think it was Max saying earlier on, the car was pulling on the brakes. So you're getting probably the front right, the front left. You're getting one is at the optimum temperature, the other one isn't. So you're not getting a good feel of the brakes, and actually one's actually slowing down quicker than the other. So you're pulling towards the one that's slowing down quicker, and it's an awful feel for the driver who constantly has that.
Bono, what is happening with this brake? I have no confidence.
Got a brake split, mate, so one's hotter than the other.
12 seconds maybe behind Verstappen. So just showing the gain he got under that virtual pit stop.
So Ferrari having to do that because they don't have the tyre performance. That was a very optimistic look to the inside for Isaac Hadjar. Green flag flying once again, and we are racing once more in Spielberg on lap 27 of 71. George Russell leads by 4.8 seconds out front, and Charles Leclerc in third, but Kimi Antonelli will be closing that down. It's 9/10 of a second.
So it's one of the rare times this year where we've had the inevitable VSC or a full safety car, and no one's really been able to make a massive jump out of it. Hamilton was the main contender that pitted, but it's still a significant cost for him because it wasn't at the optimum time. He had to really shorten that hard tyre stint. So Hamilton, the man to jump onto the softs as those two clear the back-marking Aston Martin.
Yeah, only man to take advantage or not of that virtual safety car. Deciding that early first stop didn't work for him, so he's on the 2 stops right now. Everyone else has only visited the pits once.
Yeah, Ollie Behrman further back managed to take full advantage of it because that was his first stop of the race, so he's not made a full stop. So he really took the medium tyres he started on to the end of their usable life, whereas Lewis took advantage of it, but there wasn't, let's say, the opportune moment to pit. Let's see if he can make the most of being on a soft tyre. But you sort of feel if he's getting through the mediums quickly and the hards, the softs are going to fall away pretty quickly for Lewis.
Like 28 of 71, George Russell with a sizable advantage out front on the hard compound of tyre. Charles Leclerc has Kimi Antonelli all over the back of Antonelli. Has got 3-lap-old hard tyres. Charles Leclerc has been on that compound for 14 laps of this Grand Prix. There's Fernando Alonso being lapped by Leclerc and now by Antonelli. Fastest lap of the race now belongs to Max Verstappen.
This will be a chance for Antonelli then on the way up towards turn 3. So he's on fresher tyres than Charles Leclerc, who was one of the first to pit as well.
Looking for the quick move, doesn't get the quick move.
He's not happy on the brakes, is he? If you want to make an overtake and you're not happy on the brakes, you need to start thinking about a turn 9 move, which is where he passed Leclerc earlier on.
Let's see whether he can have another opportunity down into turn 4. And again, you're seeing that lack of confidence to stand on the brakes, to haul on the anchors and get by. And this is compromising Antonelli's race. He's losing time behind Charles Leclerc here. It's 13 seconds away from his teammate.
Yeah, so this is where he managed to do the hoodwink pass before up towards turn 9, but I'm sure Leclerc will be a little bit more aware of that one this time around and not be so deprived of energy in towards the end of the lap, because you need it when you're getting into these longer straights. So he was trying to really recharge, but Antonelli saw it coming and just slipped back.
Out front, but of course on those softer tyres, so should have more potential if he chooses to lean on them.
Hamilton in the background, getting past the Aston Martin, putting a lap on it, and Hamilton has Hadjar and Piastri just up the road. Another attempt now for Kimi Antonelli. He's taking the racing line, he's taking the place, and he's third in the Grand Prix thanks to that move. Left-hand side of your picture, Hamilton trying to get by. And I think Hadjar won't have a choice on the exit. Doesn't have a choice. No, he's going to keep his foot in. Hamilton has the better grip. Hamilton going the long way round and taking P6.
Soft tyres and the Ferrari there. Nice move from Hamilton, clearing Hadjar. So now he's got to straight away go and pass Oscar Piastri as well, and then get back to Leclerc. That's exactly the sort of thing there, recharge, because he's used so much energy earlier in the lap. So just harvest into 9, and then you can think about deploying where it matters a little more on these longer straights.
Lewis Hamilton makes his way to turn number 1. The 41-year-old became the oldest winner of a Grand Prix since Jack Brabham, 3-time world champion. In 1970, the driver who won older than Lewis Hamilton. Has been a long time. Jack Brabham with the distinction of being the only driver in F1 history to win the driver's title in a car that he built. So a famous name of the past, but that's the last time that we saw a driver older than Hamilton win in Formula One. And Hamilton, not with the tyre performance in terms of durability today, but he's going to have an attacking role now up to the back of the McLaren as he tries to get up to P5, and then you've got Leclerc in close proximity.
But everyone ahead of him also has to pit again. So yes, he's taking the pit stop, he's on the fresher tyre and he's charging, but he is going to have to clear all of those cars. is not going to fall into place here for Hamilton. He's going to have to use the pace and the racecraft to come back through.
Left-hand side of your picture, Franco Colapinto moving up. That was him passing Alex Albon. It's a replay, not live pictures. And that's a P16. Not having a day as good as Miami and Montreal, where he set back-to-back personal bests in Formula One earlier in the campaign. Colapinto having a good day there. P6 in Canada is his best result in Formula One, but he's trying to stabilize things again. He was, in the last race, 10th at the end of the classification after a dramatic day in Barcelona. George Russell has the lead. He's 4 seconds away from Max Verstappen.
And mode TS. Why do I have to go to mode TS? Temperature. I already have no power.
Yeah, not good news for Lewis Hamilton there. Trying to figure out what TS would stand for. So I'll turn to my younger learned colleague Julian.
I was hoping you weren't going to throw it over, DC.
You can hot potato it to Alex if you want.
Let's go. I'll give you one word. We'll give it temperature, and then over to you.
Either way, that mode being adopted for Hamilton. Ferrari have struggled, haven't they? They've struggled. A lot of talk of the upgraded Ferrari engine, but the temperature playing a part this weekend.
Thermal survival. What's that in Italian?
Ooh, that's lovely.
And mode TS. Why do I have to go to mode TS? Temperature. I already have no power.
Of course, can lead to an increase in heat in that engine.
Max Verstappen making a dent in George Russell's lead at the moment. Last time around for George Russell, a 1:11.7. Last time around for Max Verstappen, a 1:11.4. Russell was clearing traffic that Max Verstappen is now having to deal with. But this is Verstappen in the mix in a way that we haven't seen in this regulation set. Red Bull have brought a massive upgrade for this race, and it is giving him a chance to fight in the way that we saw at the end of last year when he won the final 3 Grand Prix in a row.
Yeah, and that it's obviously working for Hadjar as well, because he's only 20 seconds off the lead, 32 laps in, which is a strong showing from him.
Sopravvivenza terminica.
Wow.
Told
I
you
just,
he was educated.
yeah, I had to just recall that from the back of the brain somewhere.
Yeah.
Of course, that would be ST in Italian. So, anyway, we know what it means because they've told us what it means. They're struggling with temperatures at Ferrari. Bad news for Hamilton because he's in traffic as well, so you don't get the cooling.
He's asking whether the car has cooled down. Back of your brain, shameless, tapping
One
away in the
lap.
com box.
Yeah, after one lap. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you ever find yourself in a pub and you're needing a teammate, if Jolene's there, all on his own, sipping a pint, call him onto your team.
A very typical Sunday scene, that.
I've done a pub quiz with Palmer, DC. It's exactly what you'd expect.
Yeah, I'll just get the drinks in. You boys answer the questions.
Well, let's see what Max Verstappen can do in the next few laps. Let's see whether he can replicate a couple of tenths, because that's what we were seeing in clear air before the stops. Can he get that gap down into the danger zone, into the worrying parts of maybe being large in the mirrors for Russell? Because Russell knows that this is so important for his championship challenge, trying to convert a pole position for the first time since the Australian Grand Prix.
Well, the race is massively on here. Antonelli's 7 tenths quicker than Russell on the last lap as well, with much fresher tyres. So he's trying to do a little bit as he did in Barcelona as well, extend the first stint and then come back to, in Barcelona, Russell and Hamilton, here Russell and Verstappen. But Max is chipping away 3.3 seconds. Again, we're in the same stint as the first run here. A couple of tenths per lap. This time Max pitted 1 lap earlier than George, but it doesn't seem to be holding him back and is very much race on. It's also probably worth saying Ferrari, as Leclerc now is 4 seconds away from Antonelli, they kind of didn't deserve to be second and third on the grid. They were lucky, weren't they? Verstappen was going to beat them. Both Mercedes should have beaten them. Russell should have been more than the 2 tenths ahead that he was. So it was a little bit circumstance that put them as high up on the grid. You still thought maybe there was a chance with their race pace to come alive, but it does just seem that they don't quite have the innate pace, and they're having to use too much of the tyres to stick with their front-running rivals here.
Let's go visor cam then.
did they say? Was it an SC? I've forgotten already. That just shows how I'm not any good in a pub quiz.
TS mode.
Well done.
Still there, I think, Hamilton, and still stuck in the hot, turbulent air of the McLaren ahead, who's stuck in behind the Ferrari ahead. So Leclerc now backing Piastri into Hamilton, who's on the freshest tyres and is the quickest of these three. Needs to come through, but the podium chance is going away from him, I would suggest, at this stage. The win chance is coming towards Verstappen, 2.2 seconds away, nearly a second quicker than Russell. Russell is not impeded by traffic right now,
No.
just slow.
George Russell has made his way through the traffic. Verstappen's had to go through that pain a couple of corners later. But Verstappen right now is in a much better position with performance. And Russell is going to be, we talked, can he get it under 2 seconds? There's the move for the McLaren to the inside. He'll be given room. Charles Leclerc has no choice. Oh, they're brushing on the exit of the corner. Lewis Hamilton trying to come by as well. Charles Leclerc's having a tough day out there. Piastri's up to 4th, and now Lewis Hamilton, who would have been up to 5th, but he played it safe up against his teammate.
Now we know the next corner coming up is also an overtaking opportunity. We saw Verstappen do that. We've seen some brave to go around the outside. Will Hamilton try that on Leclerc?
He will try it on his teammate all the way around the outside for Lewis Hamilton on those soft tyres and up to P5.
Damage on the Ferrari as well. Leclerc, there we go. It's just flicked away his the front wing upper flap there.
Ferrari out in the pit lane, so Leclerc bailing.
No choice for Charles Leclerc, who comes in, and his tough run continues in Formula One with this new regulation set. And Hamilton is up to 5th. Piastri went by as well. 2 seconds, 1.9 seconds for the Grand Prix lead.
We're getting towards undercut range now for Verstappen. Mercedes are going to have to think about covering off the chance the Red Bull pits before them, puts Max onto fresh tyres, and he does the undercut on fresh tyres, qualifying lap, which is what Leclerc will try and do right now to come back to Piastri and Hamilton. It's going to be twitchy stuff now on the Mercedes pit wall. And once again, the second race in a row where Russell looked like he had things under control and is just falling away, just doesn't have the pace at this stage.
It's unusual, isn't it? Because yes, these cars are incredibly fuel efficient, so we're not dealing with this sort of fuel loads of yesteryear. But it's as the weight comes out of the car, normally you'd expect everything to get a little bit more comfortable for the drivers. And at that point, Russell, for whatever reason, goes, I assume, out of balance or runs out of tyres.
The strange thing that I'm seeing a lot with Russell here is he's got pace at times. Yesterday in pole, in Q3, the pole lap was a little bit controversial with the yellow flag, but even forgetting that, he was quicker than Antonelli. Same in Barcelona, but if you look through the weekend, Antonelli is consistent with his laps, whereas sometimes George is scratching his head as to where the pace has gone, and he's half a second away, and then it just comes all in one flash, and he can execute because he's a top driver. We're seeing that unfold over 71 laps of a race, or 66 laps of a race in Spain, and it's meaning that he can look great in one stint, he changed the tyres, and suddenly the pace is not there at all. And Antonelli, for the last few laps, has been also pouring in 0.8 per lap, 6.5 seconds away from Verstappen, 8.5 seconds.
Race engineer who has rejuvenated the 7-time world champion. Max Verstappen has got the gap down to 1.4 seconds, gone up to 1.5. George Russell.
We need to get the Piastri. I know you're trying.
25 in Canada. He had Max Verstappen close, but they never really went wheel to wheel. It was a close time gap. We have never seen. Oh, Russell with that lockup does make the corner. Does that explain the time lost from before?
Yeah, and also just, sorry, I groaned in the background as Hamilton went through 9 with a kick of oversteer. It was like the beginning of what we saw with Verstappen in qualifying, but scooped it up. So right on the edge of those soft tyres and the grip at high speed.
Let's say Hamilton is driving back to his best, even if the Ferrari pace isn't there at the moment. This is Lewis, who's able to dance the Ferrari car on the edge like that once again, and in a much happier place. He's not going to be overall with the performance of his team today, but it's nice to see that old car control back and a bit of spark back for Hamilton once again here.
This was Oscar Piastri in the McLaren up against Charles Leclerc, and the brush of contact with the left rear tyre up against the end plate for the Monegasque driver.
So, at the risk of offending all of the Charles Leclerc fans, of which I'm one, he's got to know his nose is out there. He's got to know that as Oscar's rolling the car out to complete the pass, there's a risk of having that contact. He's got away with it, but that could have been much worse.
Yeah, it's on Leclerc there, isn't it? The kind of misjudging the fact that he was turning in, and you know Piastri is in his rights to be on the inside and washing wide at that stage. As you say, he's got away with it. Personal best lap of his race on the last, on that fresh tyre now from him.
So good stop there for Hadger and Red Bull. They're going to get an early indication just what he's capable of delivering on his outlap.
If they pit any time now, that is going to be a big chance to undercut, assuming Russell's not going for that long-ranging one stop. But even then, that would be sweaty times for the Mercedes pit wall.
It would indeed, certainly by the end. It's a 5-second time penalty for Fernando Alonso for speeding in the pit lane. We have never seen George Russell and Max Verstappen go side by side, corner by corner for a Grand Prix victory. And it is 1.2 seconds, not yet in overtake mode range for Max Verstappen. But he has got this gap down, hasn't he? He is hammered into this advantage.
And he is dialed in. He's already been wheel to wheel with Lewis Hamilton. And he's shown he's happy to get his elbows out. He's confident on the brakes. Oh, he's pushing the exit really, really hard out of turn one, slewing it wide, but would have only cost him a couple of tenths, and he'll regroup and go again.
So many around this racetrack cheering for the Dutch Lion, running a orange crash helmet this weekend in tribute to the support that has always been so loud for him across Europe, and they have transformed the atmosphere of this racetrack in the last decade. 5 times Max Verstappen has won this event. George Russell trying to re-establish his championship credentials. It was a fast-thinking pole position yesterday for George Russell. Max Verstappen was the driver in the barrier, and the crowd now on the infield. You can hear them along with the V6 turbocharged engine.
This is why you pay for a ticket, to be trackside at a racetrack like this. Max Verstappen hunting down George Russell. There's your top 2 for the race win. Red Bull have not had a sniff of a win so far this year, but they've bought a huge upgrade package this weekend as well. That's why Verstappen is transformed, as well as always being strong at Red Bull's home race. And that is the race lead now in his sights, that he's reeled in from 4.5 seconds to 3 seconds, and now he's just snipped it down to 1.
Ferrari in the pit lane.
So Piastri comes in, Hamilton comes in. Russell under enormous pressure, trying to win his 7th career Grand Prix today.
Shows how Hamilton's extra stop then hasn't paid off at all, because he's had to pit and remains behind Piastri. So obviously struggling with some temperatures as well, but the only man to pit under the VSC was sort of forcing the issue, and it hasn't worked out for him. And he was on the podium earlier on, so dropping down to 7th, which will become 6th when Norris pits, but not playing out too well for Hamilton today.
There's Hadger, who'd made that early stop.
Again, seemed a lot happier on the mediums. On the hard tyre now, he's got to produce his best. He is up against Max Verstappen for the win. Kimi Antonelli a long way off as well. When he came in from the race lead, the as it stands table showed the gap between the championship contenders in the Mercedes camp at 40 points, but we've still got a long way to go in this race.
Verstappen continues again. He's got a nice bit of clear space, or he's got Nico Hulkenberg. He'll have to lap probably on the next lap, and then a little bit more of a buffer to any more traffic. Russell's come out in clear space as well.
And Russell does find himself at the moment 18.5 seconds away, even with a rapid Red Bull pit stop. We've come to expect those. He would still have the race lead, but he would have Verstappen with that minimal tyre offset all over the back of him, not too far away. There's the predicted gap, 1.8 seconds.
Max's lap on the last lap actually was a lot slower. I wonder if that was because Russell was slowing to come in the pit, so he couldn't commit through turn 9. Antonelli took 7/10 out of him, so that gap is now 4.5 seconds and closing as well. Let's not rule Kimi Antonelli out of this. Went longer in that first stint. Does it give him a chance to cut out the second stop entirely? That's going to be potentially in his arsenal.
So, yeah, best you can at this stage of the race. We'll just try to build a bit of a tyre offset. Hope he gets into trouble towards the end. Probably.
There's calm communication between GP and Max. They've done a lot of winning. They've done a lot of strategizing over the years. So it's quite clear what he needs to try and do.
Right, let's rewind 24 hours. Q2 of qualifying. Verstappen was nearly out. Pierre Gasly missed out, knocking him out by a couple of hundredths. The reason? Because he saved a set of tyres. That's a set of mediums that he can throw on at the last stop. A set of new mediums that Russell and Antonelli don't have. It was the risk that Red Bull took. So they can go long now, and they can throw on a newer, fresher, faster tyre to go and chase Russell. That's what they'll do.
As long as Kimi keeps extended, Verstappen's going to keep on extended and put us under risk.
So, yeah, best you can at this stage of the race. We'll just try to build a bit of a tyre offset. Hope he gets into trouble towards the end. Probably.
Russell thinking of the ways that he can lose the race, thinking about his obstacle for taking the driver's title.
So, yeah, best you can at this stage of the race. We'll just try to build a bit of a tyre offset. Hope he gets into trouble towards the end. Probably.
Actually, Verstappen's pace is dropping.
So, yeah, best you can at this stage of the race. We'll just try to build a bit of a tyre offset. Hope he gets into trouble towards the end. Probably.
That George is going to run into tyre troubles. And anyway, soon they might have to cover off the threat that Antonelli undercuts him, because the gap is now 3.5 seconds between first and second. So Verstappen can't keep going for too long.
The assumption, just going back to what we were saying, Julian, about the medium tyre, yes, it's new, yes, it will give you improved performance in the short run. But what we don't know on this day in history, what that medium will do for a longer stint.
It wasn't great on certainly on the Ferrari at the start of the race. It was better in the hands of the Red Bull. They got the option to use it. The hard tyre has been pretty handy for Max, but it's now getting towards the end of its usable life. 28 laps he's done on it, and he's just starting to lose pace again. 6/10 Antonelli's taken out of him on the fresher hard.
Antonelli closing down on Max Verstappen. 22 laps Antonelli has done on the hard tyre. He ran much longer on that medium in stint number 1. He's just being told why Liam Lawson's so quick behind him. Lawson is behind in terms of a lap, but he's got fresh medium tyres on. I think Antonelli was asking the question of why Lawson was able to keep pace with him, and got the answer from Bono on the radio.
Yeah, have I lost a load of pace, or what's the Racing Bulls doing there, keeping pace? Yeah, Lawson doing a good job.
Currently in the best of the rest slot, that means P9 for the New Zealander. And Lando Norris comes in to stop now. The world champion hits his marks, and the swarm of mechanics around him send him back to the racetrack. Let's see where and rejoins. That's Franco Colapinto coming in for a stop.
Look at that, Antonelli's now right on the tail of Verstappen. So Red Bull are extending and extending, but they're not quick. And they're going to come out a long way away from George Russell here in the lead of the race. Yeah, tyres are dead, not surprising. Still going out there, still going slowly. Here he's going to come to the pits. Finally get rid of this set of hard tyres, but he's paid a heavy price in the last few laps.
Well, Verstappen comes in, having got the gap down to just around a second. Antonelli takes over the race lead. George Russell will go by as well. And Antonelli on the old hard tyres will continue. 2.2 seconds for the Red Bull of Max Verstappen.
Okay, I just observed something out the pit lane. Normally, if you're kind of in the middle of the pit lane, if the box before you isn't pitting, they kind of courtesy pull back the airlines. Mercedes sent their crew out into the pit box. Antonelli didn't show like he was coming in. And then, of course, they were slowly sort of pulling their tyres and mechanics back into the box as Verstappen had to go around them into his box. So it's all fair, but it just went slightly slower.
Okay, Camille, let's go. Just maintain the focus.
It was a great stop from the Red Bull crew, but yeah, you lose a little bit. Since he's pitted out lap in a first push, and they'll both be trying to charge down on George Russell for the race win. Leclerc's surely got to jump out of the way of Hamilton. Why are Ferrari slowing down their main championship challenger with Charles Leclerc, who's not having a great day? Hamilton wants to go and at least go and beat Piastri today and maximise his point score.
So Antonelli rejoining the racetrack. Championship leader has Verstappen ahead, has Russell ahead. And if it finishes like that, there will be 40 points between George Russell and Kimi Antonelli in Antonelli's favour, on board with Lewis Hamilton, who is getting to the inside and taking his teammate. He's up to 5th position.
Taking a lot more of that inside curve this year. They've taken away what was a sort of raised inner curve, which the drivers can take advantage of. But nice clean pass.
Feel like Verstappen's lost too much ground by staying out on that tyre in the middle of the race. 10 seconds. He's on 6 lap fresher tyres, 19 laps to go.
Virtual safety car is deployed. The virtual safety car is out. That could have changed things if it was a little bit earlier. Got the slippery surface flag in track sector number 6. That's the mini sectors. And goodbye to the bollard. Hello to the marshal. And that's why we needed the virtual safety car.
A full safety car would have changed things, because then you'd have Antonelli and Verstappen right on the tail of Russell with fresher tyres, but the VSC will actually be good news for Russell.
DC, you said they were attacking the inside, turn 3 like never before.
Yeah, I think that's what you call taking a bit much of that inside curve, but struck it on the tyre, and yeah, scooped up by the fast reactions of the marshals.
And the virtual safety car is ending and withdrawn. The green flag is back. And we go racing once more with Lewis Hamilton ahead of Charles Leclerc. Are we going to get a battle between these two up the hill? We are not going to get a battle between these two up the hill.
The rear, the front just washing slightly as well. It doesn't look that nice, the Ferrari that was flying last time out in the hands of Lewis Hamilton en route to Grand Prix victory. Verstappen takes a good second out of Russell. Somewhere in that VSC phase, it went from 10 seconds to 8.7. So the only thing left now is how much tyre did Russell use to build up this buffer? Did he go and give it full tilt, 2.5 seconds per lap? Well, he did do that, but for what cost at the end of the race? That's what Red Bull will be hoping for. It's what Antonelli will be hoping for. Russell just falls away at the end of this.
Well, stay tuned, everybody, because we're going to find out. And it does seem that, based on the evidence of the Grand Prix so far, Russell has been able to start his stints well, and then it's dropped off and faded towards the end.
Bit of motivation on the radio from GP, race engineer to Max Verstappen, McLaren bound in the future, but a Red Bull man for a very long time, winning the championships with Max Verstappen, saying the timing of that virtual safety car worked well. The gap had come down to 9.1. The gap is now 8.5.
So Russell comes through, does a 10.9. Verstappen does a personal best as he comes through, which is a 10.6. Antonelli does the fastest lap of the race as he comes through and does a 10.4. So they're gaining little bit by little bit. Russell still looks comfortable enough with the gap at 8.5 seconds, though.
Yeah, now that Hamilton has cleared Leclerc, he actually hasn't sort of disappeared up the road as quickly as he caught him. He's only, 1.5 seconds further up the road. And actually, Alex, just coming back to it, he said that it was announced so early that GP was heading off to McLaren. It's almost easy to forget about it because he's still very much a Red Bull man right now.
He is indeed, and he is wanting to see his driver back on the podium. It's only happened once in the Grand Prix so far this year, back in Canada, and it was Hamilton and Verstappen battling that day as well. Franco Colapinto, lunge on Esteban Ocon, bottom left of your picture, position gained, and up to 15th goes the driver from Argentina. Gasly at the moment has the soft tyres on the car. He's got a lot of ground to make up. Racing Bulls have a decent advantage, hanging on to the final 2 points paying positions, and then everyone above, part of the big four teams in Formula One: Mercedes, Red Bull, McLaren and Ferrari.
Well, that closing of the gap to Russell continues. Verstappen a little bit quicker, a couple of tenths or so, and then Antonelli further back, a tenth or so quicker than Verstappen. So the top three are definitely coming closer together.
Needs to be by more, though, about 0.3 per lap. It'll need 25 laps to close that gap.
Whoa, is that a lunge to the inside? We'll focus the camera and we'll see Isaac Hadjar getting past Charles Leclerc. Now, can Leclerc go back again, use the energy? Monegasque driver up against the Frenchman, under braking, sparks flying, position maintained, they both lock up, they both go deep. And the up and under is going to happen again. The Red Bull driver is through. Isaac Hadjar, P6.
Nice pass. Leclerc once again looks like he's struggling on every aspect of the Ferrari. He was well out of shape actually through the final turn, which allowed Hadjar to close up and fire in the lunge at turn 3. And you can just see again, we ride on board. He's just slithering through 7.
His tyres are
Tyres are gone, yeah, 18 laps on them.
Yeah, I don't think he said gone, but technical term adopted in the sport. But yeah, he's not in a happy place, unlike Hadjar, who's having a very strong race.
Both Red Bulls, 23 seconds off the race lead. That update, working with both cars, Verstappen 7 seconds away faster than the race leader by 1/10 of a second last time round. But Isaac Hadjar as well didn't have that Monaco podium in the end, but he has had a strong run.
his tyres are
Verstappen 7 seconds off the lead. For a minute, I thought both Red Bulls 23 seconds off. They must be side by side.
Within. You know what I meant. You know what I meant.
10th and a half quicker on the last lap was Verstappen. Let's see a replay of what George Russell's been up to turn 1, taking a loaded curve on the way in.
Wide moment in the car.
Yeah, he's lost, 3/10 in that first sector because of that incident. So this looks like it could be a good half a second that Verstappen is quicker than Russell on this lap.
It's a full second, DC. It's a full second. Russell going off and then also having to clear, I think, Arvid Lindblad on that lap. So the gap comes down to 7 seconds. That'll help. Up until then, I think George had this one under control, but a little bit more of a carrot dangled there for Max and Red Bull. At the moment, Antonelli not doing enough, really, given he's got even more to make up.
Russell's just going to be clearing Liam Lawson in a moment, and then he's got a bit of a clear run for the next couple of laps in terms of getting past the traffic. Lando Norris is roaring up to the back of Charles Leclerc's Ferrari. And we talked about the big 4 teams, all the contenders running from the big 4 teams, and Charles Leclerc going to have to produce something strong to keep Norris at bay because his hard tyres are, there you go, there's the graphic. That's exactly what I was about to say. 10 laps young. So as a result, a fresher rubber for Norris should see the world champion through. Norris had a chance, feels like a very long time ago now, had a chance to get by Max Verstappen on the opening lap, and Verstappen having a very different Grand Prix to the world champion.
Yeah, Verstappen has now got Lawson and Lindblad in between him and Russell. I can imagine neither of those two will want to be responsible for holding up the senior team driver.
What have we got to do to stop again?
No, nothing.
Probably nothing to lose, nothing to gain for Charles Leclerc. He's going to be gobbled up by Lando Norris.
It went up in at turn 1, but it looks on the cards for turn number 3. He does not have the feel that he did with the previous 2 regulation sets on the evidence of the last few rounds, and it's another pass. This time, Lando Norris gets by, that fresher rubber being put to good use, and Norris is up to 7th position.
What have we got to do to stop again?
No, nothing.
Well, Pitt and have a nicer life for the last 12 laps as he has another heap of oversteer into 4 out of 4, somehow through 5. And then we'll see him now come under pressure from an Alpine that is a lap down on him. But just a really, really tough day for Leclerc. Not easy for Ferrari generally, but Leclerc particularly struggling badly, and he will get his reprieve, get some fresh tyres on, at least have a nicer feel. 6/10, Verstappen was quicker on the last lap than Russell. That is pretty much what he needs for the rest of the race to be close by the end.
Russell will be pleased with the way that things have fallen for him now. He has passed Liam Lawson in terms of lapping the cars, and he has got a couple of laps before he comes across his old mate Alex Albon in the Williams.
So the quick math says 6/10 per lap, 11 laps to go. They're going to be together on the final lap.
We've seen it before around here, haven't we, DC?
Yeah, I think it's a season that just keeps delivering if that is the case. And what do we think? Do we think Max, if that was, if that scenario comes along, he'll go, yeah, 2nd, nice podium,
Good point. Best result of the year, bank that.
Or
the reality. The top 2 in the Grand Prix, to put it mildly, aren't exactly friends. The last time Verstappen up against a rival to win around here, it was the driver in 3rd that benefited. That day, it was George Russell in a Mercedes. Kimi Antonelli is 3rd at the moment. He had a much better lap than Verstappen last time around.
Yeah, Verstappen a little less than half a second clear of Russell. So, well, Drivers' Championship points coming into view. This will be a great day for Russell. He's still got plenty to do to keep this thing going and to keep Verstappen out of arm's reach for the end. But what an important victory this would be should he get there. Antonelli's not making enough inroads to quite make it a 3-car race at the end.
Can I go?
Against the charging Red Bull here, he has to maximise it. This is not George Russell at his best right now, in the same way as it wasn't Lando Norris at his best through the middle part of last year. It came to Lando for the end. George has to stay within range of Kimi, who's really flying and he's consistent right now. He lost out a lot at the start of this Grand Prix, and he's sort of paid the price for that, not quite getting back to within range of his teammate out front. But Russell just needs the points, however he's going to get them.
Huge couple of laps coming the way of George Russell. His championship aspiration. He's waited for this chance for a long time. The results have been upended for what so many in the paddock expected at the start of the year. He's closing in on the win. 5.1 seconds is the gap. As we make our way through, Verstappen is going to get past Liam Lawson, and then the next car ahead of him will be George Russell.
Russell's doing enough, though. 1/10. Verstappen was quicker. He now is on the tail of Lawson, so Lawson's going to jump out of the way. They're on for a nice double points, the Racing Bulls. They're not under a huge amount of threat from behind as well. So now it's about getting Verstappen through. I think Verstappen has got through and he can go and chase Russell, but it's so far so good for George Russell, just keeping those tyres in check. You think back to the message that Max said to GP on the radio. I think we've got this one wrong. It was 1 second away. They had a chance to go for an undercut if they wanted to lock in to use the hards instead of the mediums late on, and they didn't take it. When you see the pace that Russell had straight away on that hard tyre, was that the opportunity there where Red Bull could have blinked first, or at least could have forced Mercedes to pit even earlier, maybe? Good strategy, you have to say, from Mercedes to cover him off, though.
They reacted well. Mercedes caught between a rock and a hard place last time out. Had the two cars battling. Lewis Hamilton on a 3-stop. And even without the timing of the virtual safety car, Lewis Hamilton, with that attacking strategy, looked set to win that Grand Prix. Whether Fernando Alonso broke down and brought out the virtual safety car or not, on that 64 of 71, George Russell is looking for his second victory at this venue, his second victory of the season, and a 7th in his Formula One career.
It's far more assured in this set of tyres. Again, Verstappen just 1/10 quicker. The race starting to head firmly towards George Russell now. Just has to keep it clean, keep it smooth. Plenty of late drama. There's plenty of reliability woes for Mercedes as well. That'll start to run through his head as the laps continue to count down. 5.1 seconds and fairly stable. There's not a huge amount of traffic ahead for George immediately. Alex Albon and Esteban Ocon, and then it might be a run to the flag. Just got to keep it smooth, make no mistakes. We've seen a few of those on the brakes as well when we've gone picture in picture. It's in Russell.
What have you got to do to stop the gap?
No, nothing.
The laps are running out.
Stroll, Sainz, Perez and Bottas, the 4 retirements from the Grand Prix. And Racing Bulls winning the best of the rest battle. They've got the more advantageous compound of the medium tyre on. They've got Lawson 1.4 seconds ahead of Arvid Lindblad. Lindblad's had a strong weekend if you consider that he's a rookie driver. His first visit to this place in Formula One. Knows it from Formula 2 and Formula 3 days, but he is chasing his teammate all the way home, and they will close the gap down to 5th place Alpine in the Constructors' Championship. If it stays like that, not by a lot, but every point helps. And the gap is down to 4.6 seconds out front. Russell will tick off the laps. As it stands, he's taking 10 points out of Kimi Antonelli in the World Championship battle.
So his good mate Alex Albon jumps out of the way nicely for him, which leaves Esteban Ocon to get out of the way soon. Ocon running 16th after a decent start. It's a tricky weekend for Haas. And the only other man he might catch is Fernando Alonso, because Alonso is just so slow in this race. He could be 3 laps down if Russell gets him by then, and he could be a lap down to the next car, because Albon might get close to Alonso too. Miserable for the only remaining Aston in the race.
That's a 2-time world champion driving that car as well. And Fernando Alonso, Aston Martin's season begins in Belgium. And they bring effectively a B-spec car, all their updates at once, and they will hope that it is an easy easier run in the second half of the season than the first.
Verstappen clears Albon as well.
Gasly deep at turn 3 with a lot of speed.
Yeah, not out.
Felt like a very good lap for me with through.
We are not, unfortunately, mate. Hey.
Close down the gap without an error from Russell. So can he force the mistake?
Yeah, and you keep pushing, you keep forcing George to keep pushing as well, and then he's running over the curbs. You get a chance of a little bit of carbon fiber braking, or there's some of the components that are being banged around, like Lando Norris's picture in picture, up behind Isaac Hadjar taking a big whack over the yellow sausage curb. That's the sort of thing that Max just has to keep doing if he wants to apply any sort of pressure. In terms of race pace, it's running out for him. Mercedes and Russell have called it really, really well. It's been another day of pressure absorption from George Russell, but he has stood up to the test so far.
It looked for all the world earlier on like we were going to see Russell and Verstappen do battle over first place in a race, corner by corner, in a way that we haven't before in Formula One. And Verstappen has spent a long time in this final stint trying to recreate that scenario, but he's 3 seconds away.
Look at Antonelli getting closer as well. 2 seconds. Can we add another 5 laps to this race? I think that's what it would take for Verstappen to get there, probably for Antonelli to join him. They are in reverse order of pace right now. Antonelli, you can see, has the fastest lap next to his name, catching Verstappen, who's catching Russell, but they're not catching at a fast enough rate.
Wow. It is going to be a contrasting podium, isn't it? You've got second and third wishing that we could go on and on and on, and George Russell going, get that checkered flag out. He desperately needs that second win of the season.
Well, the good thing is the laps count down so quickly here. 1 minute 11 seconds is the fastest lap on the calendar. So it's galling in the early parts of the race when you look and you're like, have I really got 64 laps to go? When there's only 3, then you can count them down very, very quickly. A few minutes now waiting for George Russell and the checkered flag, and you just want to get there, hoping the car holds on, hoping that you don't have a lapse in concentration. Just stay glued to your braking points, glued to your apex markers. There's Fernando Alonso, who's going to go 3 laps down, I think, before the end of the race.
See what Antonelli can do on this lap. He's 1.5 seconds to Max Verstappen in second position. Does have slightly fresher tyres, trying to minimise the damage in the World Championship. If he gets past Verstappen, he'd only lose 7 points to George Russell rather than the 10 that he's currently seeing disappear.
It would be an important pass. Not an easy man to make the pass on, and especially when you consider Verstappen has nothing to lose in getting his elbows out with Antonelli. But you're right, that might be the fight on the last lap.
We also, it's worth saying, this is, I think, much better than Red Bull's pre-race expectations for what was possible. Max Verstappen expected to be fighting up against Ferrari and McLaren at the start of the day. He's splitting the Mercedes.
And rewind it again to yesterday, this moment here where Verstappen was off into the barriers.
You still see the marks.
Without that, he starts with the Mercedes. He's had the pace. He's had the pace on Russell in this Grand Prix. Antonelli looks like he's had slightly stronger pace than Russell as well. It doesn't matter because George did the job yesterday and started from the privileged position of pole position. But this is so encouraging overall for Red Bull to have found this performance on the car. And again, there's your race lead. They're all going to bunch up behind Alonso, but he will jump out of the way on the run down to turn 4.
That's what Russell's hoping for. He doesn't want to catch Fernando Alonso on the infield. There's the green Aston Martin.
Doesn't jump out of the way down towards turn 4. He must jump out of the way into 6, otherwise he's going to really hold Russell up.
It's 2.6 seconds. Watch that gap. Antonelli's within a second now. Still, Russell has Alonso in front of him.
Okay, he's not going to jump out of the way into the next corner either. That Aston Martin is pig slow.
And that is what, if you catch a car there or the car doesn't get out of the way, that can cost you. 2.5 becomes 2.2.
Now he does get out of the way for turn 9, so that's a more crucial high-speed corner, and George will be unleashed onto the final lap. Antonelli will have the final lap within 1 second of Verstappen.
So Antonelli will get overtake mode. Antonelli has an opportunity here. It is George Russell, the race leader, by 2.1 seconds on the 71st and last lap of the Austrian Grand Prix. 2.6 miles remaining. And here we go. Can Antonelli find the power from the Mercedes to heat the pressure on? This is going to be big. This is the battle for second position. Is there a chance to turn 4?
Oh, Verstappen was a little wide at 1. He wasn't turning in really sharp for turn 3 either. Final real attempt here for Antonelli down the hill.
He's close, but you'd have to be brave to put a late-breaking move on Max Verstappen on the last lap. There's no opportunity. Is there a chance to launch off this corner? Russell is a few corners away from the win.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of curveball moves in this Grand Prix as well. That's the only thing now that Antonelli's got left up his sleeve. You can see how close they both are to the race leader.
Well, the top 3 are separated by 2.2 seconds at the end. George Russell ticking off the corners. Verstappen got within 1.5 seconds of this man. But he's got 2 corners to go for his second Grand Prix victory of the season. George Russell sees the checkered flag first. George Russell wins the Austrian Grand Prix. Second and third separated by 0.3 of a second as Verstappen scores his best Grand Prix result of the season. Antonelli never got a real chance for a late-breaking move on the last lap. But the top 3 over the line separated by 1.
That was 2 years ago. Yabba dabba doo. Great job.
Well done, guys. I'm happy. Well done.
Thank you so. Good team result. Well done. Well done, everybody.
Good job, Max. Well done. Drove the wheels off it as normal.
That's podium. Drink system failed. Nice race for it to do so. So I'm a little bit thirsty. Great job.
Well, have a drink ready for you on the podium.